Hi friends! I'm doing it. I'm jumping on this bandwagon. I'm doing crafts from the dollar store. I went a bit crazy at the store and got a lot of options to choose from. We have DIY wind chimes, various wooden animal shapes, a dinosaur, a rainbow mobile, a birdhouse, pots in different sizes, a llama bank, and a wooden box. I also decided I'm only going to use art supplies from the dollar store. So I got a bunch of acrylic paint and this set of paintbrushes. The paintbrushes look like your standard plastic bristled piece of crap. I think I'm going to start with this llama bank. It says it comes with a ceramic bank, 5 colors, and a paintbrush. The box has this handy color guide on the back, but this is my favorite part. Don't worry if a plain white llama and block colored grass is too hard for you. It's just for inspiration. Inside the box there's a set of 5 paints in the tiniest pots I've ever seen. Here's the llama. There's a plug on the bottom, so I guess you could actually use this as a bank. Or store your ceramic chips, apparently. And there's another crappy paintbrush. As inspiring as that picture was, I actually wanted a brown llama, so I'm gonna have to use some paint besides these little pots. Which was a good idea, because when I opened the white, it was completely dried out. I opened the rest, and they were all dried out too. I mixed up a sort of chocolate brown and painted it on with the paintbrush that came in the kit. The paintbrush is just about as crappy as I thought, and it also makes an awful sound against the ceramic. Putting a second coat on this, I noticed that the plastic brush sort of scrapes up the paint if you don't give it long enough to dry, and it creates this texture, so I had to set this aside for a few hours in between coats. And I think I gave this brush a fair shot, but for the rest of this I'm going to switch to the pack of brushes. I ended up lightening the color of the llama, but it took so much white paint. Like, it was probably 90% white paint just to get this color. And speaking of truth time, I was simultaneously working on the other items that you're going to see, and I used the entire tube of white paint. I tried going back to the store and I couldn't find any more. I ended up having to use the white paint from that wood burning kit I did last week, and honestly, it made such a difference. These colors only took a few drops to lighten. The llama's kind of looking like a chocolate bunny right now, so I'm going to add a white muzzle on him, which I totally didn't decide after I painted 4 coats of brown on him. Then I added a little detail to the grass and gave him some dark brown hooves. Hooves. Hooves? Hooves. Do llamas have hooves? Oh. Okay, I painted his nails dark brown. And then I started outlining a saddle and a bridle on him. This paint is actually dark purple, but even after 2 coats it dried brown. And then I did this.
It's fine. Everything is fine. Everything is going perfectly according to plan.
After a stress break and a lot of cleanup, we're back. And on to the rest of the saddle. And I promise I'm going to be very careful from now on. And then I'm adding some puffy, colorful tassel things on his reins. He's going to get some eyes and a mouth now, and that's going to need some cleanup. The paint on this guy is getting thick. I didn't find any gloss at the dollar store, but I did find our good friend Mod Podge. So I'm putting a couple of coats on this guy to keep him looking good for a long time. Here he is! I love him. I decided to name him Filbert, and even though the paint and the brush in the kit were worthless, it was well worth the $1 for Filbert himself. Next I'm going to do this wind chime. Something about the crab called to me. Shiny! There's also a seashell and a circle. There's some strings, red, white, and blue paint, a bead, the chimes, and another crappy paintbrush. The back says it includes everything I need, but the one thing it doesn't include is instructions. How do I put this together? Is it supposed to be common knowledge? After a bunch of Googling, I think I sort of have an idea how to put it together. So it's time to paint. Surprisingly, the paint in this kit isn't dried out, but I'm not even going to waste my time with that brush. I tried to make a nice pink, but my color mixing skills failed me. Even though I mixed red and white paint, I still had to mix some actual pink in to get the right color. I also made a turquoisey blue and pastel purple, and this is what used up the rest of the white paint tube from the dollar store, and I still ended up lightening the colors more later. Starting with the crab, I went for a purple base coat over the entire thing. After a few coats, I added some details to his legs, a little belly circle, some eyes, and a smirky mouth.
Maybe he's smirking because he looks like a fat spider.
I tried to fix that by making his legs longer and giving him some spots. And I mean, you still can't really tell what species he is, but I don't judge. I used turquoise for the seashell and gave it a pink outline, and then I added some super crooked ridges. I painted the circle in the bead pink and then added some purple coral. And this is honestly my favorite thing that I painted on this whole wind chime. Look at them, they're beautiful. I should quit my job and paint tiny cartoon coral professionally. Or not. Put a nice coat of Mod Podge on all of it, and while that was drying, I got a weird idea. What if I mix a little bit of the paint with water and make a sort of dye for the white strings? It kind of worked. And after struggling to put it together, here it is. I think the details could have been a lot cleaner if I had better brushes, or if I knew what a crab looked like, but I'm still really happy with it. For my last project, I'm going to paint these pots. I had lots of rainbow paint left over from the llama, so I decided to do a sort of freehand rainbow. I wanted it to be real loosey-goosey, kind of drippy. I'm just sort of glopping this first coat on. I think that the non-dollar store white paint really helped because I only needed 2 coats to be fully opaque. I took my time on the second coat, really cleaning up all of the edges, and then I gave it a purple rim around the top and painted the inside purple. I already really liked it like this, but I added some highlights and some shadows to give it a little more dimension. I like this pot so much that I was scared of messing it up, and my hand started shaking trying to get clean lines with this terrible brush. So for the other pot, I thought I'd do something a little simple. I gave it a couple of coats of yellow and painted some really crooked lines to be a pineapple. For the inside, I just used plain yellow. Then I coated both of them with Mod Podge. They look really cute, and I actually love both of them. I still really love this rainbow one, and I think I'm going to use it as a pen holder. I made this pineapple pot with this specific plant in mind, but the nursery pot that it's in is just a little bit too tall. I didn't want to actually replant it, so just pretend that it fits. I actually had so much fun doing these projects. The dollar store has so many options for crafts. The brushes were absolute trash, but other than the white, I think that the paint performed just as well as other cheap acrylic paints. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and let me know what dollar store crafts to try next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.